Today, on Be Something Wonderful, take the quantum leap into your ultimate self-concept. I am your host, Tom Karen, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, welcome back. Lots of sessions yesterday, but I want to talk about three in particular. That the topic started out to be about a specific person. But each session turned into something much bigger that can apply to every aspect of your life, not just a specific person, not just relationships, but money and things that you want, careers and everything else. So I want to talk about this idea that in all three cases, they said, Tom, that they followed some of the things that we talked about in the videos and decided just to give up all wanting, all resistance. And in all cases, their specific persons contacted them, reached out, or they got together. And in one case, not only the specific person that she was dating off and on at this time, but two others from the past contacted her. So I want to talk about this because it's much bigger than specific people or relationships. It goes to your whole identity, your whole self-concept of whatever you want in your life. So let's talk about some of the things that came up and then let's unpack them. So the three SP related or specific person sessions that were much bigger, as it always is. It's never really about the specific person. Huge insights. Here's what one client said. Tom, I gave up trying to improve my self-concept, and as you said, just accepted my grace in the fundamental truth of who I am. We've talked about this, right? That this whole idea of trying to improve yourself, trying to fix your self-concept, keeps you looking in the wrong direction. Keeps you, there's no bottom to that. Instead, accept your fundamental truth of who you really are, right? And we're going to hit this a little bit more, but this is the one that not only her current specific person, but two others. Yeah, talk about really developing your self-concept, right? And other topics we talked about is they ask questions like, Tom, what do you mean, the idea of being already fulfilled? Can you expand on that? And that also came up with one of our subscribers, Mitch, who I actually talked to last night, not in a session, just to catch up. We'll talk more about that later. I have something at the end of the video to talk about that. And then we also talked about the difference. What's the difference between surrendering and giving up? I've talked about this before. Wanting without wanting it. And how do I shift identities or versions of myself? And we discussed insights from yesterday's video that was released on the membership channel. This is your true story. Remember, we talked about in yesterday's video, we talked about this whole idea of your story, those powerful insights. So we're going to get to all of this today and more in a massive video for you. So let's hit it. And so here's some of the things that I hit, and we're going to just move through it and then wrap it all up into a nice bow for you. This is from Byron Katie, which I've been talking about. I talked about in yesterday's video that I released on the membership channel. I talked to some of her quotes, right? Seeking is the movement away from the awareness that your life is already complete, just as it is. This seeking. In all cases, whether it's a specific person, whether it's love, whether it's money, whether it's a career, whether it's a new business or a house, it moves you away. It points you in the other direction. It takes you from the awareness. Remember, you are awareness. You are attention. You are light. So your light is pointed in the other direction, right? That your awareness that your life's already complete. Put the light within that it's already done, right? The state of fulfillment is not something you obtain or lose or hold on to. This is really what I'm getting at, because we go, Tom, I lost the state of fulfillment, or I'm not in it anymore. You never lose it. It's not something you get. It's not something you lose. It's not something you hold on to. It's who you are, right? You can only be aware of it or not aware of it. But whether you're aware of it or not, or whether you realize it or not, doesn't change your nature and your natural state of fulfillment and love. You still have it. You still are it. Doesn't change it. whether you're aware of it or not, whether you believe it or not, right? So that really, that's the true meaning of grace, right? That there's nothing that you need to do for it, but simply notice it. Simply be aware of it. There's nothing you have to do for that fulfillment. You just got to be aware of it. You just got to realize it, right? And this is what a client said yesterday as well. But Tom, if I know and feel I'm already fulfilled, that I am fulfillment in love, then why would I be motivated to desire or do anything? This question comes up not only with this session yesterday, but it's come up before on the channel. Why would I be motivated to desire it, to do it, or imagine it? And here's the perfect answer. This is from Byron Katie. Right? She wrote, her most famous book is Loving What Is. I recommend it. I'll leave a link. Remind me if I forget the link, but I'll get it. So Byron Katie, because this is what she says, because that's what love does. I love it. That's what fulfillment does. Love is action. Fulfillment is action. It's clear, it's kind, it's effortless, and irresistible. Wow! That's love and fulfillment, because that's what love and fulfillment does. It's action. Fulfillment and love is action, right? That's what it does. You're gonna desire, imagine lots of things from that state of fulfillment, from that state of knowing it's already yours. So powerful. What an answer. So, also a client said, another question, how do I know the difference between giving up and surrendering? Well, surrendering, as I've talked about, but I really want to hit it today, comes from a state of gratitude and love, right? Giving up comes from a state of lack and resignation. Do you hear it? You're not giving up your desires. You're not giving up what you want. You're surrendering it to that from a state of gratitude and love to that higher power within you, to that God within you, to that I amness, right? You're giving it up. You're delegating it to that higher power. It's in your inner being's hands, right? That comes from a state of love and gratitude. Otherwise, giving up comes from a state of resignation and lack, right? This gratitude, this is what Byron Katie says about fulfillment, or in other words, gratitude. This gratitude, or gratitude, in other words, fulfillment. This gratitude is not something you can look for or find. It comes from another direction. It takes you over completely. Wow! This is what we mean. This is not just trying to find things to be grateful for. This is just resting in that gratitude of who you are for the life that you are, right? Because your life and more life, right? This gratitude is not something you look for or find. It comes from another direction, and it takes you over completely. You can never, hear this, you can never be or have more than God. In other words, who you are and what you have at this moment, you can never have or be more than that, because you already are everything. Do you hear this? This is so big. Any illusionary state other than fulfillment is just a thought. Any illusionary state other than completely fulfilled, completely being God within, is just a thought. It's just a story that you're telling yourself, that you're believing. This connects yesterday's video, right? On that true story of who you are. It connects it nicely. So you are either extending love or projecting fear. You can't be both, right? Love expands. Love does, but love takes action by being love. Wow, that's the action of love. Love does by being love. It expands. Fear contracts and shrinks reality, right? It shrinks everything you see, right? You can't see that greatness. The paradox is you receive everything you want once you stop wanting it. That's the paradox. It's simply, and here's what it means by that, to not want it, to want it, but by not wanting it. Simply an intention to choose what you desire to experience next. It's a choice to have it. It's a choice to be it. Wanting always pulls you or points you in the opposite direction of your innate power and God-given fulfillment. It points you in the opposite direction of everything that you want. Hear this, God is everything, and God is who you are. So it puts you in the opposite direction of God. So how can you possibly get what you want? That's so big. So remember, I talked about this a little bit yesterday in a different way, but your entire life experience is the story you're telling yourself and others right now. That comes from the teachings of Genevieve Davis, who wrote the magic books, right? Powerful. Your life experience is the story you're telling yourself and others right now. The thoughts you are believing about yourself in the world right now. This is what all the spiritual greats talk about, right? And you are only ever feeling your thoughts and beliefs about the world and yourself right now. Hear this. Entire life experience is your story. The thoughts you are believing about yourself and the world is that story. You only ever feel those thoughts and beliefs about the world and yourself. That becomes your self-concept. Wow. So big. And here's what a client asked. I've been working on my self-concept for such a long time. This was the realization. This is the one that had the realization that now has SPs or specific persons coming out of the woodwork. They're just everywhere now, right? Your self-concept doesn't need improving or fixing. You are, I am. It's only your story about your self-concept that needs changing. Do you hear this? It's just your story that you got to drop. You don't have to change your self-concept, change your story about your self-concept. Wow, so big. And remember, these are some of the things that came up. And I feel broke because I have no money. But really, that's not the truth of it. What's the truth behind it? I have no money because you have no money because you feel broke. That's why, right? The feeling is not the effect, although we use it as an effect, emotions and feelings as effects. They're cause, right? You have no money because you feel broke. You feel broke because of the story you're telling yourself. You're telling the story because you believe the thoughts that you need something from the outside world to feel complete, whole, and fulfilled. It's all just a story you're making up, like seeing that rope in the dark and believing it's a snake, right? A lot of spiritual teachers use that idea of seeing a rope all curled up in the dark and believing that's a snake. And all of a sudden you have this fear overcome you. Right? It's just a thought. It's just a belief. It's not the true story of who you are. Feel this. Feel what we're talking about here. I feel broke because I have no money. No, you have no money because you feel broke. You feel broke because the story you're telling yourself. You're telling the story because you believe the thoughts that you need something from the outside world to feel complete, whole, and fulfilled. That's big. So let's continue with this. I feel unloved because I'm single. I think one of you were worried about the holidays coming up and being, quote, single again. Not feeling loved, not feeling... You are single, though, because you feel unloved. That's always the truth. Whether it is that you don't love yourself, you said you swear you love yourself, okay. But this is why you feel unloved in some way. If you don't love yourself, even though you swear you do, otherwise you wouldn't feel unloved. If you really loved yourself, it's impossible to feel unloved. Do you get it? I feel unworthy because I'm overweight. No, you're overweight because you feel unworthy. It comes from that feeling place. You get to decide. You get to choose, right? Remember, emotion, and of course it can be an effect as also, but emotion, energy in motion, source energy is the cause. It's source energy. It creates realities. It creates worlds, right? In this source energy, through your thoughts and assumptions, they're filtered, right? So not the effect. You first filtered that source energy through thoughts, your story, and assumptions that you believe them, and then you label them as feelings of good, bad, happy, sad. Do you see this? Source energy is the source, but then you put that source energy through filters of thoughts and assumptions and beliefs. In other words, through your story. And then you believe that story, and then you label it as feelings of bad or good, a happy or sad, or worthy or unworthy. Do you see this? Well, let's take a look at it. Let's see what this looks like. Your emotion, source energy, love, fulfillment, joy, excitement, that's what source energy is. But then you put it through your story, through these thoughts and assumptions, and out comes feelings of either love or fear. right? Either your story is, I am the greatest, I'm the best thing since sliced bread, or I'm unworthy and I'm not loved, something like that. Whatever those extremes are, you're going to put them through those thoughts and assumptions. You're going to produce feelings of love or fear. Those are labels, right? It's not the sensation comes from your labels. The sensation comes from your thoughts and assumptions, right? So remember what the Gospel of Thomas, this is what the point that Jesus made. When you make the two into one, and if you say mountain, move away, it'll go. In other words, when you take your thought, your story that you're believing, and you add that to the emotion or source energy, that's true fulfillment, remember. Then you produce feelings, and that feeling is either love or fear. Or it could even be called an emotion of love or fear, right? But think of this. It's thought plus emotion. This is what really gets to the teachings of Greg Braden, right? And when he talks about this, it produces the feeling. These feelings of either happy, sad, good or bad, all of that. They're either loving feelings or fearful feelings. So what are you doing then when you join thought plus emotion and create these feelings? Well, you're shifting realities. You're quantum leaping into a new version of yourself. You're moving the mountain. But you're not, remember, the mountain doesn't move. You move. You're moving into a reality where the mountain's already moved. Or, hear this, you're moving into a reality where you're putting the mountain there, where the mountain was never moved, or where there's two mountains, or there's a bigger mountain. Right? So you can have the miracle based on fear, or you can have the miracle based on love. You can have the quantum shift based on love, or you can have the quantum shift based on fear. Either way, you're going to shift. You shift realities and move to the other version of yourself, film rolls, scripts, parallel realities that corresponds with your vibration or frequency or self-concept. It kind of ties it all up. Right? It's all about frequency, vibration, energy, self-concept. It's all together, right? As the scientists, the early scientists would say, it's all about energy, vibration, and frequency, right? Nikola Tesla, right? So you shift realities, or you move to versions of yourself, or film rolls, or scripts, or parallel realities that corresponds with your frequency, your vibration, or in other words, your self-concept, based on your thoughts plus source energy, right? Put through source energy plus your thoughts or filters or beliefs and assumptions produces those feelings that you believe. That's who you are. And you're going to move a mountain. You're either going to move a mountain in front of you, or you're going to go to a reality where there is no mountain, right? But you're going to shift for sure. That is taking the quantum leap into your ultimate self-concept. I am your host, Tom Karen, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button, like and share our videos. That's how we get our message out. You can follow us on Facebook at Be Something Wonderful. We have a group called the Be Something Wonderful Ambassadors. It is an open group, but it's also private. It's open, meaning anyone can join, but it's private once you join. So all the comments are shared among each other. And this is where you can give each other insight and guidance and share stories and so forth. That's at facebook.com/group/Be Something Wonderful. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at Tom Karen. And of course, we have a membership channel now that has additional content. And we're going to have a video later today, another one released, a big one, that we'll talk about based on the teachings of Neville Goddard and this idea of really impressing your mind, in your mind's eye, seeing your imagined end. It's big. And so, guys, if you want, there's a bunch of links in the comments area. You can join the channel. There's a join button on the channel. But as always, there's going to be more content on the public channel as well. I am your host, Tom Karen, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, until next time, with great love, with great light, and infinite gratitude, see you soon.